This is Stephanie from The Secret Place, Psalm 91. I hope you're having a great day, and I'm glad that you came. I want to tell you a little bit of something about this devotional I've been reading, and I've been reading it on and off. Dallas Willard, who doesn't love Dallas Willard? It's called Hearing God Through the Year. And there's this little passage that he wrote that is a discussion of Genesis 18:21. You know, the passage where Abraham, well, let me read it to you. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. God also addresses people through supernatural messengers or angels, though they do not always reveal their identity. I have a couple things to tell you about this. One, I'm really excited to talk about. The other one, this idea that God reveals himself to Abraham. What was Abraham doing? Was he in the temple? Was he in a temple? Was he in a place of prayer? Even in his heart, was it in a place where he was like talking to God, communing with God? Or he was just sitting right outside his tent in the heat of the day. I can kind of picture him maybe wiping the sweat off his brow, maybe thinking, couldn't wait for the sun to go down and it to get cooler there in the desert. But God spoke to him in the ordinary. He sent messengers. And there's a whole lot of theological explanation for who those messengers were. And was it the Lord with two angels? Was it three angels? Was a manifestation of the Lord? It was the Lord visiting him, whatever those three men were. It was a representation of the Lord coming to him to speak to his heart unexpectedly, and in not in a typical way. Not in a typical way that what is a typical way that we would expect the Lord to speak to us? I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a religious way at all. It was just the middle of the day. Took him by surprise. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Took him by surprise. And I wanted to share with you a little something that happened to me on my way home from Gainesville last week. I had a lovely time meeting such extraordinary people in Gainesville, up by UF, at the Christian Study Center. Just an amazing place with wonderful, wonderful goals and some really lovely, lovely people. Well, even though I had a wonderful time up there sharing with some of the lay leaders and the pastors, on my way home, I just really wanted to shut down, and I had this great article that I was going to read in Comment magazine. Maybe some of you know that. Again, even though I had a very busy and wonderful time there, I was ready to kind of roll down and just kind of lean against my window seat, look at the clouds, and read my article. But when I got on the plane, I found it was a little jet. I found I was seated right next to an elderly woman who was on the aisle. It was like a two-seater and not three. And so I was going to have to wait for her to get up and let me get in. And so when I said, "Excuse me, ma'am," she let me know she was blind, and just to kind of, if it would be okay, kind of climb over her. So I thought, oh, okay. So I got in my seat, I got my seatbelt on, and before the seatbelt even snapped and I got a chance to open up my publication, my magazine, she greeted me. She told me her name, and she said, oh, and what a sweet lady this woman was. She said, "Hi, I'm Marge or Margaret. You can call me whatever you want." And I said, "Hello, Marge. I'm Stephanie." She said, "Oh, hi, Stephanie." Well, from that moment on, she kept me company, and she talked to me. She talked to me of Blue Streak. She was a beautiful, lively, wonderful woman who I will never forget. But let me tell you something. I wanted to keep going back to my Comment magazine and looking out at the clouds. And so for the first 15 minutes, I found myself, I kept going back and maybe reading one sentence over and over again. After 15 minutes, I realized I've only read 3 sentences. We're having a conversation here. I'm putting this away. And I gave into it, and I just gave up. And we had such a lovely conversation when she kind of leaned over to me and she said, "Steph, do you believe in angels?" I'll tell you why I asked, because I do. So I said, well, Marge, I suppose I do believe in angels. I think I do believe in angels. Why do you believe in angels? So she then presented me and started telling me with wonderful stories. And, one thing led to the next, and we had some very good conversation. She was the one initiating it, and she was just a wonderful conversationalist. And at the end of the flight, she felt my arm, and she went down to my hand and squeezed my hand. And she said, "Oh, Steph," she said, "I thought this was going to be a really hard flight, but God sent me you. Are you sure you're not an angel?" Oh, friends, my heart just was gripped with compassion and love. I said, "Oh, Marge, I am not an angel. I know that for sure. Trust me, I know for sure I am not an angel." She goes, "Oh, but I think that you might be." So anyway, she said, just if you get up, climb over me again. She's going to get out at the end, and this and that. As I started to, I looked at her, and I know it's not really social protocol anymore, but I just hugged her. I just hugged this woman, and she held me so tight and planted a kiss on my cheek. Felt like I had known her for a long time, not 2 hours. Wasn't even a 2-hour flight. And I just, she held me. She held my hand again. She made her way down to my hand and held my hand tightly, and she said, "Oh, Steph," she said, "you will always be in my heart." I told her about the secret place. Marge, if you're seeing this, leave me a comment. You are so special and such a wonderful woman. And what you didn't know was that my mom, who had just passed 2 months ago, not even, my mom, you're the same age as my mom. And it just gave me such a treat to be sitting next to you and hearing your stories of the war and the Pentagon and JFK and all of your stories. In any case, it made me think of this time of Abraham sitting by the trees of Mamre, just outside his tent. And I just wanted you to remember that we never really know when God is going to do something serendipitous, when we'll meet someone that will change our life, or we will, get to know someone, however briefly, that we didn't anticipate, and just leaves a mark on our life, a positive mark. And Marge certainly did. I've thought about Marge every day for the last week since I've gotten back. And I've said, "Thank you, Lord, for Margie." It's funny. It's just funny. Like, you just don't expect, I don't expect little treats like that. And that's one of the things I love about walking with God through Christ, is that just leave yourself open and just give into it. I could have missed all that if I had insisted in my own agenda that day. I wanted to read this article. Well, I read the article the next day, and it was wonderful. It was a great article by the director of the Christian Study Center. But I also didn't miss Marge. I had some wonderful, calling them Marge moments. I hope you have some like that today, too, this week, this month. Let's keep our hearts open to the Lord and open to each other. Okay, my friends? Thanks for coming by to The Secret Place. Bye now.